Hey kids, good morning, good night, good afternoon. This is our presentation on 7th grade social studies, the railroads in Texas. First, we want to get your answers to my questions. First question is, we're going to do it real simple today. So, number one, name one founder of a cattle trail. So I gave you four. So hopefully you can go back in my slides and pick one of them out. And then I have a kind of a not a yes no question. I need to know if you would actually watch the marble run. So if you watch CNN 10, you know exactly what I'm talking about from March 24th. Would you watch a marble run? All right, so railroads in Texas. Gotta tell you, when I was a little boy, well, not a little boy, high school student, one of my sisters was Sister Mary Jane, and she taught Spanish. And she was really cool, but the really cool thing about her was that she was from Houston and she was really old. And so a lot of times she'd tell you things about Houston that you don't find anywhere else. And she always talked about the railroad that went from Houston to Galveston. So I thought I knew a lot about the railroads in Texas. Like I know that Beaumont was one of the main places that the railroad went to. So we have so many tracks today. But in researching it, I got quite an education. So first off, railroads tried to start up in 1836 with the Texas Railroad Navigation and Banking Company, but never got off the ground. Railroads are very expensive, you know. 1851, the Harrisburg Railroad Company started. It had its base in Houston, and it went to 5 different cities. So, in other words, there were 5 tracks in Houston, and they went in 5 different directions. Um, the interesting thing about the Harrisburg Railroad system is that it did not leave Texas. It was only within Texas. Then in 1873, Texas rails linked to the national rails. So quite a jump there, right? From 1851 to 1873. Well, when railroads came along, especially national railroads, things changed big time in Texas. The first thing that changed was that there was no longer a need for cattle drives. So the cowboy was pretty much out of business. In fact, a meat packing plant uh, opened up in Fort Worth. That's the Armored meat packing plant, and Armor is still around today. So you could drive your cattle to the nearest city, and it would end up in Fort Worth. Um, More farmers moved out to West Texas because now they had the rail system to get them out there. Such a trip would have taken weeks in a wagon. Now it took 72 hours to get out to West Texas. And because West Texas is such a harsh environment, not a lot of water, farmers had to start using machinery. And that was again brought to them by the railroad company. As the railroads expanded, they needed lumber. And so a lot of lumber towns, like Lumberton, which had already been around since about 1836, started really growing. And here in our slide, you see one of the rails that's leading out of the piney woods in East Texas. Um, Also, with railroads, more people move to the cities. There's more jobs for people in the cities. And as I said earlier, the trip took less time and the transportation by train was more reliable. If you were taking a stagecoach or a wagon, you were kind of worried about rain and road conditions and other things that might happen along the way. Rail lines, you didn't have that problem. But one problem you did have at railroads is that once national companies started taking over, like the Southern Pacific Railway, it was actually cheaper to go from Houston to Chicago than it was to go from Houston to Dallas. So we started a railroad commission, and this railroad commission uh, had oversight over the fares in Texas. Now today, the Railroad Commission takes care of pipelines, it takes care of gas, it takes care of gasoline, it makes sure that the pumps that say they pump a gallon of gas actually pump a gallon of gas. So sometimes you'll see the Texas Railroad Commission, it's like a little state of Texas on the gas pump, and that's why. A lot of people say that the Railroad Commissioner of Texas is the most powerful public official in the state. So look, guys, don't forget, I need you to answer my questions, send them to me in an email, and I need you to tell your friends to subscribe to my channel, and I need them to pretty please uh, start answering my questions. So, and those of you who have, I want to thank you. Alrighty. And don't forget, you got to do religion too. All right. Bye.